Our guest today has dedicated his career to a simple but powerful belief that one person taking the first step can create extraordinary change. Friso Poldervaart is an entrepreneur, social innovator, and community leader whose work sits at the intersection of business, purpose, and impact. Over the years, he has built successful companies while proving that entrepreneurship can be a force for good. He's the co-founder of the Bangkok Community Help Foundation, an organization that was born during the COVID-19 pandemic after residents of Khlong Toei reached out for help. What started as preparing meals for families in need quickly evolved into one of Bangkok's most inspiring grassroots movements. Today, the foundation tackles issues ranging from food insecurity and education to housing, sanitation, community development, and disaster relief, bringing together thousands of volunteers, businesses, and partners to create lasting change across Thailand. Alongside his humanitarian work, Friso is the founder of Digital Distinct, one of Thailand's leading award-winning video production companies, producing compelling content for corporate, commercial, and documentary clients, both locally and internationally. Many may also know him as the entrepreneur who brought the world's famous Dinner in the Sky experience to Thailand, transforming fine dining into an unforgettable experience hundreds of feet above the Bangkok skyline. Beyond business, Friso is passionate about sharing knowledge and inspiring the next generation. He serves as a guest lecturer at Stendin, Thailand, where he teaches global social development, encouraging students to think critically about today's social challenges. Last year, he also took the TEDx stage at TEDx Youth at Regents International School with a powerful talk on the power of taking the first step, a message that perfectly reflects the way he lives his life. Today, we'll explore the stories behind his journey, from entrepreneurship and leadership to community impact, purpose, and the lessons he's learned along the way. Please welcome our guest for today, Friso Poldervaart.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. Friso, how are you today?
Very good. Very good. It's been a busy but beautiful day.
Amazing. So I gave the audience a bit of an introduction about you, but can you please tell the audience a bit more about yourself?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Friso Poldervaart, originally from the Netherlands, but been in Thailand 16 years now, since the age of 18. Founder or co-founder of the Bangkok Community Help Foundation. And again, long time Thailand resident. This is my home and very happy to be here.
So you mentioned that you came from the Netherlands to Thailand, right? How was that journey like, and what would you say are some of the differences between Thailand and the Netherlands?
Okay, yeah, well, the journey started when I was 11 years old. So my best friend is half Thai. His father is Dutch. His mother is Thai. We come from the same village, small village in the Netherlands, and we grew up together. Basically, we're like brothers. And when I was 11 years old, his parents basically said, look, you're old enough. We're going to take you with us to Thailand. They would, of course, travel to Thailand frequently to visit their family. So yeah, and they said, look, I mean, you're gonna come with us. So I was of course very excited at 11 years old. And I do remember that coming into Bangkok at that age, walking through the airport door, where for the first time in your life you feel the Bangkok heat, humidity, the smells, the sounds. So I very, very vividly remember that it was so different from anything I've ever seen. Again, I come from a very small village, like a farmer town. There are no high buildings. There's nothing, right? So yeah, I just remember being overwhelmed, but overwhelmed by excitement. So you ask, like, what is different? Well, everything was different. I mean, there was nothing like what I've ever seen. So that was very exciting to me. And I remember, or I do believe that that was the moment that I decided, okay, this might become my home in the future. Then, of course, I was still very young, 11 years old, so still, in school. So we used to come back every 2 years, visit his family, very, very beautiful, very Thai style as well. So not the holidays maybe that other people have. I mean, with his family and going to, his hometown and seeing all these amazing things. So I think that's really what sort of mesmerized me about this place, and that's what made me decide when I graduated that I should go to Thailand. I mean, I was just waiting. I was waiting. I wanted to leave. So I graduated 10 days later. I moved to Thailand, and I've been here ever since.
So, what would you say is your favorite part about Thailand? Being here so long, and what would you say has been something that has changed over the years that you've been here, if there's anything?
So my favorite thing about Thailand, I mean, it might sound cheesy, but it's definitely the people, right? Thai people to me are amazing. And of course, there's many different categories of people here, but the way Thailand has given me a home, I'm very thankful for. And that's really the people, right? The people that when I came here with knowing nothing, I didn't know, I didn't speak the language, I didn't know where to go. And these people, all these people that came into my life, they all helped me to reach where I am today. And I really see it like that. So for a country to be able to do that, and for people to do that, I think that's very special, because I mean the world where we live in, of course, very globalized, but a lot of people are also more protective of what they have as a country, so to speak, right? So I will never forget them. And that's been many people. That's not one person. That's hundreds of people that all took me in and said, "Look, okay, we'll help you get further," right? So that created a deep appreciation also for this country as a whole to me, because like I said, I was 11. I knew that I wanted to be here. I dreamed about being here, and I did it. I mean, I came, and it worked out. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I must say. Well, when you ask what has changed, I mean, of course, I mean, Thailand becomes home. So the things that you normally would see that would be very unique to you, back then, are not unique anymore. But it becomes part of your life, and it's strange because I've been here my whole adult life, which are basically, I mean, in many ways, sort of the forming years of what you become as an adult person. So I don't really know. Of course, I'm Dutch, right? I mean, my face very Dutch, but because of being here so long, because of growing up, adulthood here, you become a bit of both, right? And that's kind of interesting, because you sort of, yeah, you transform into a cross sort of cultural person, even if I wasn't born here. So it's very hard to say like what changed. I mean, of course, I see Bangkok changing, I see Thailand changing. Something's good, something's maybe not so good. So, and I think that's healthy. I mean, every country, every society is evolving, right? So of course, sometimes we miss the old days. We think about, oh, it was so nice back then. But I still 100% love Thailand, and I'm still so happy to be here every single day. And I know that this is the place where I'm going to be for the rest of my life, and I'm very, very happy with that.
And one thing that the audience is truly grateful for, because you're grateful for the people, is your help with the Bangkok Community Help
Mhm.
Foundation, which is something that I mentioned in the introduction.
Right.
So, on the topic of this, can you take us back to the early days of COVID, and how did Bangkok Community Help first begin?
Sure. Yes. No, it's a good question, and it kind of relates, right? Because really, Bangkok Community Help in many ways is our, mine, everybody's vehicle to give back to this country, right? And I think it's very important that, again, as people that come from the outside and come to live here, use the resources of the country, basically are allowed to live here in a very free, sort of way. It's very important that we also do our best to help society. I really believe that, right? And what we did with Bangkok Community Help is that we created a vehicle to do that. So yes, COVID-19 was the initiator of that. And, the reason being that, that moment in time was, of course, maybe one of the hardest times for Thailand, but also for the world to go through in recent history. So helping others been, a long time goal, let's say, and COVID kind of excelled it and said, okay, now is the time. So basically, I dropped everything and said, okay, now is the moment to focus on this. So we got together with a few friends and started this project. We started helping, very small. Kindness always matters, right? So we said, okay, let's just do whatever we can. Okay, can we cook? Yeah, I think we can cook. So let's start cooking meals for people. We know that there's a lot of people struggling to make ends meet, and especially now during this time, right? So that's how we started. I mean, we started cooking. We cooked 300 meals that day. And if we fast forward to today, we have cooked and delivered 5.1 million meals already to people in lower income communities, homeless, migrant worker camps, all these different places, right? So it started very small. If you ask me that time, okay, would you become a very sort of large size NGO? I probably wouldn't have thought about it. So it really, again, came from the compassion, from the love of like, okay, now is the time to do something. The way it grew was that, COVID mutated and we mutated as well. That's what I always say. So when COVID started behaving in a certain way, we started behaving in a certain way as well. So, an example of that, COVID started to go in people's lungs at some point, which means that, people were basically deprived from oxygen, right? Oxygen levels in their blood of sometimes 60, 50%. So, day one, we're cooking meals and we're handing out meals and we're talking with people. And, 4 weeks later, we're running around with oxygen canisters and nurses and, administering oxygen to people to make sure that they survive, right? So that's what I mean with like how COVID mutated we did, because that's really what it was. So it kind of grew us in a way forward in a very fast pace. And I think the resilience of, us was that we didn't want to give up on these people. Because of course it was, dangerous in some ways. We were all worried, what happens if, we get sick, and what happens if the team gets sick. But we all kept going because we felt we owed it to the people. And I think that's how we got very intertwined and integrated in these lower income communities, primarily the Khlong Toei slum. And from there, it started growing. I mean, then we started to see like, oh, wait, there's also children that are not going to school. There's elderly living in very, very difficult conditions. No running water, no electricity, no toilets. Wait a minute. I mean, COVID, it might be sort of the eye opener, but there's a lot to do after this. So when COVID sort of slowed down and, finally started to become better, that's for us when the real work started. Because then it was like, okay, now we're so integrated in these communities. We know so many people. We help so many people. Now it's time to really see what we can do. And from there, many different, projects started. I mean, the scholarship program, the housing program. I mean, of course, we built a homeless shelter recently as well. So yeah, that was really the eye opener. And again, I think it was, I always say like, well, I wish COVID didn't happen, but it brought a good thing, and that was the Bangkok Community Help Foundation. So that's really the origin story. And the photo you showed me, I mean, is from that time. And that was when we were just going and going and going. And I think also at that time, because at some point COVID was so sort of around us, people were home, the malls were closed, everybody remembers this. So a lot of people were sitting home, right? And we were out there. We were out there in these communities wearing, the triple mask and the PPE. And of course, it was almost like there was a spotlight. Like everybody was watching from their homes, like, okay, there's these people in blue shirts, they are helping, right? So I think that's also really what cemented the name Bangkok Community Help into, society here, I would say. because a lot of people, saw us that time. But it was really only the beginning, and it feels ages ago right now. And I would never want it to happen again.
I think that's such a special and remarkable thing that you mentioned about the whole journey from where it first started to now. And you mentioned the statistic of helping over 5.1 million. And I'm sure my audience can see it right now. The big number, 5 million. Yes, since 2020, yes. And the resilience is something that the audience can learn from. The never giving up in that COVID, as we all know, we wish wouldn't have happened, but in a way, it helped you kind of give back to the community. And as you said, you spend time in like the integrated lower income community, for example, Khlong Toei. What was the biggest reality that has changed your perspective?
The biggest reality for a lot of people, right? And this is not only the Khlong Toei slum, right? And just to establish, I mean, the Khlong Toei slum is the biggest slum of Thailand, 140,000 people living together in very close proximity. Some people, without, again, like I mentioned, electricity, running water, very difficult conditions, right? But that's kind of where it all comes together. But there's so many communities like this. There's so many people that struggle still in this country. So really the biggest realization for me was that the people around you are most likely, struggling with some things, right? And we talked about compassion, we talked about kindness. I mean, what it gave me was perspective. So the perspective of life, basically, right? I mean, we can worry sometimes about things, very trivial things. Oh, my car doesn't start. Oh, I need to, whatever, I need to buy a new washing machine because mine is broken. But when you stay with these communities for a very long time and you work with these people, you sit with these people, you eat with these people, you're part of their life, right? You start realizing that there's many things in life that are maybe not worth worrying about. And I think that's really, for me personally, what changed me a lot. So I was very worried about things that I would never worry about anymore. And those were mostly about personal things, personal gain, finances, these kind of things, right? And I realized by, seeing these people that, they're, it's better to use that energy somewhere else. And it's better to use that energy, funnel it in, trying to make other people's lives, better as well, right? So that changed it for me personally, to the point where, it's very difficult to make me nervous. It's very difficult to make me worry about something. Because again, the perspective is like, no, but why do I worry about this when there's so many other people that have it so much worse? It's almost a blasphemy, right? It's almost not okay to do that. And that I really believe that. And that I think that you can only create that kind of perspective by being with those people, right? And that means those people doesn't mean, like we're looking down on them. No, I mean, I love these people. And the most happy times I have is being with these people, right? Another thing is also in perspective that when you see these people, they are still trying to be positive. They're still trying to be happy, right? Now that's another big thing, right? So, there's a lot to learn from people in lower income communities. There really is. And I really hope and I really, tell everyone, like, come see, come and join us, Bangkok Community Help. I mean, we're the vehicle for you to, to see this other reality, right? And to be actively part of a solution as well. So I really see that as the big task of the Bangkok Community Help Foundation. We are the people, we know the people that need help, we know the people that want to help, and we are the bridge in between. And if we do that correctly, we can do a million things a day. And I think really that's the ultimate task of what we are doing. We are the bridge.
And if someone is watching this, like you said, wants to be part of this vehicle and they want to see it and they want to be a part of Bangkok Community Help, what are some of the ways that they can get involved and get started to be a part of it?
Oh, that's a great question. So at Bangkok Community Help, we have activities every day, 365 days a year. Primarily our food program, which is still running until this day. And in the morning, we are cooking meals for primarily homeless people in lower income communities. And in the afternoon, we are cooking meals for the elderly, the bedridden, and the sick. And anybody and everybody is able to join these activities. So you can come, you just show up, you don't need any experience, and you can come out and help, right? So that's really what we are trying to create here. We're trying to create this place where if you want to help someone else, but you don't know what to do, you come with us because we know exactly what's needs to be done, right? So everybody is welcome. Doesn't matter your age, where you're from, you're traveling, you're living here. You can come and join the Bangkok Community Help family.
And I know some of my audience who might be watching this video are international who are probably abroad but still want to be a part of this foundation and this vehicle, this help. What about for those people? How can they be a part of it?
I mean, another big help is, of course, financial help. I mean, donations are, the backbone of everything we do. We run a very large operation, helping a lot of people at the same time, and of course, all of that costs money. So, monetary donations are incredible. They are very, very, very important, very helpful. So that's another way of people to get involved. But I think what makes us different from most NGOs is that you can do both with us. Right? You can donate money, of course, and you can do that to many different NGOs. There's not that many where you can actually actively can get involved, right? So we do both. And usually, I mean, I never ask anybody for donations. I always tell people just come over, come and see for yourself. Once they spend 10 minutes with us in communities, working, helping, then they know, okay, this is what I need to do, right? This is, a cause that I should support, right? So it really speaks for itself. But yes, people from abroad, of course, can, do that and give us, the financial support that we of course also need.
And if we look into the future with all this help, the support, trying to give back, the compassion and the love that Thai people give, what do you hope Bangkok Community Help Foundation becomes in the next 5 to 10 years? What is the big goal for you and your team and this foundation?
Right. So really the ultimate goal is that we can close down the foundation. And that doesn't mean that we don't want to help people, but that means that we successfully completed our task, right? Now, the reality is that that is most likely never going to happen, right? So where I see Bangkok Community Help in 5 years or 10 years is to be more comprehensive, to be working with people on an even deeper level, because the food program is a great example of something that's very needed, but that is not sustainable. It doesn't make sense to keep bringing people food. What really makes sense is to make sure that people are able to take care of themselves, right? So the lines of people waiting should become smaller, right? It's a bit of a double-edged sword because if you keep doing it, you also, create maybe a dependency for some people, right? So really the ultimate goal is always to get people to be self-sufficient. And you do that by, working with people, by offering, educational programs, by offering job programs, by making sure that people have the tools they need to go and study, that they have the tools they need to take care of their families, right? So this is really important. And that is a more deeper level. It's also a much more difficult task, right? To cook meals and bring to people is fairly easy, right? But it's really about, okay, how can we get people to not have to, wait for food at all? So that's where I see us going already. One of the big examples is that we opened the first homeless shelter in Bangkok, the Center of Dreams, which is again helping homeless before by bringing food, drinking water, whatever they need to survive, to a more comprehensive solution where we take people into our shelter, work with them, and reintegrate them back into society. So everything we do is going towards that direction, to more wholesome, more comprehensive, and in the end of the day, we want people to be completely self-sufficient so we can, in the end, close Bangkok Community Help and say, okay, everybody was helped. This is the big dream. Again, I said, this is most likely not possible, but I mean, this is what we strive for, right? So I don't strive for us to be here in another 100 years. I strive for us to not be needed anymore in 100 years.
That's a really great point, and I really hope that in the next 5 to 10 years, Bangkok Community Help can grow and just be a bigger project that everyone wants to be a part of. And I'm wishing you, as always, all the best on that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support as well.
But that is not the only thing that you've done. I want to talk about your TED Talk, which is something that you gave, talking about the power of taking the first step and the success you've had of over 5.1 million. You had to take the first step with you and your team. Was there a defining moment in your life that inspired this message?
Well, when the TED Talk came about, of course, when the TED team gets in touch, right, and they talk about, okay, is there any like defining moment in your life that you want to talk about? Or is there anything special that happened? And when you look back at your life, let's say, right, whatever age you are, I mean, you realize that everything that you achieved always started with that first step, right? So I thought that was a good metaphor because, the example of, cooking 300 meals with our friends, going all the way over 5 million meals in 6 years, right? That would never have happened if we didn't at that day said, okay, let's go, right? So that's the first step, right? Being here in Thailand would have never happened if, I didn't take the first step and went, right? So I think it's very important. The power of the first step is means that when you take that first step, you don't know what's going to happen. But the only thing that's important that you take that first step, because then magic can happen and most likely will happen, right? So that's really what that is about. And for me, defining moment of those first steps have been so many. Like I said, I mean, it's been starting Bangkok Community Help, it's been coming to Thailand, it's been, developing other businesses, projects, finding friends, finding relationships. Everything starts with that, right? So my message there is that, don't be scared. I mean, because we can think overthink a lot, right? Oh, but if I do that, this can happen, that can happen. Nah, maybe better not, right? It's just important that you go for it, right? And also, what is important is that you do it together. This is also really what I feel is important, right? You never go alone. We never go alone anywhere, right? We go alone when we die. So when you have an idea, you want to do something, you feel good about something, bring people with you, right? Get them excited about the idea you have. Work together with people, because then really, really magic will happen with all of you together.
And speaking of this first step and you dabbling into many different things, worked on countless productions over the years, can you share like a behind the scenes story that most people would never expect, being part of Digital Distinct?
Yeah, Digital Distinct is a production company that I started when I first came to Thailand. Another first step, right? I studied film in the Netherlands, and the only thing I could do was make videos. So I had a camera with me, and I had no money. So I was like, okay, how am I gonna survive this, right? So taking the first step, I walked up, to a few hotels, restaurants, and said, look, I have a camera. I know how to make videos. Can I make this for you? Right. And that worked out very well. And at some point, we started to get so many bookings that, I had to ask a friend, like, hey, can you shoot on that day? Because I'm working on this. And then maybe he goes there. And suddenly it is a business, right? So again, first step, I'm not a business person at all from my studies or anything like that. But because I started doing that, all of that started to become Digital Distinct, a business that still runs today and still is working on very beautiful things, right? Behind the scenes stories that people don't expect. Well, behind the scenes is not a fun place, I must say. Working on productions is very, very hard work. You work very long hours. It's very stressful. So behind the scenes can be usually yeah, combined with a lot of stress. Nothing ever goes the way you plan it, right? You do a lot of pre-production where you plan everything, and then this happens, and then we do this. Usually, it doesn't really happen that way. So doing productions, doing creative work like that is always about fixing issues very quickly, right? So you learn to fix issues, you learn to think, okay, now we do this, okay, that doesn't work out, oh, the sun isn't shining, oh, the light doesn't. So you learn to be very fast, you learn to be very creative, right? So, we have stories when, you're shooting with 50, 60 people crew, which for us as a company is quite a large production, where, for example, the actors run away. They're so tired of it. I mean, we don't want to do this anymore, right? Or the director is not agreeing with somebody, and there's a whole fireworks and explosions and everybody. It's very intense. It's also very beautiful, though. I mean, it's a beautiful craft because you are creating something with a group of people that's in your head, and suddenly it's on the screen and everybody can see it, and that's a very magical process almost. So I have a little bit of a love hate relationship, I think, with that one, because if you embark on a production and it's going to be 15 days or whatever, 20 days, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough for the next 2-3 weeks, right? But then once you're done, you did so many amazing things and you worked with all these amazing people. So it's a craft for people that really need to love their passion. Then I think you can be a good filmmaker or a good DP. But what happens usually in business is that you start creative, right? I mean, I started as being the creative head of everything. You operate the camera, you're editing, you're producing, you're calling with the clients. And the bigger you grow, the more you sort of let go or have to let go of that creativity. So the more you start talking, with clients, you're working with your team, you're making sure everything works. So that's also what changes usually when, a business starts growing, right? So you kind of let go a little bit of the passion because you have to focus on other things. And that's kind of interesting because especially in a creative field, that can sometimes, clash a little bit when you said, oh, but, my passion is to make movies, but now the only thing I'm doing is sitting on the computer and writing and calling people. But that's just how it is. That's just how it works.
So if someone is watching this wants to get into a similar field, as you know, the
Yeah.
creative industry is evolving rapidly, but like what skills do you believe young filmmakers and content creators need to stay relevant and competitive?
I mean, as a filmmaker, I mean, your own ideas will always be unique, right? If you want to stay competitive, I mean, it's changed a lot. I mean, the industry has changed a lot. When I started, what is it, a decade ago? I mean, when we were done for a client, we would put it on a DVD, and we would go to the client and say, okay, here it is, and that's it, right? These days, it's almost not about the product anymore. It's about where does the product go, right? So we make something for a client. Now it's all about, okay, but where is this going to be shown, right? Are we going to run an ad campaign for this? Because the attention span is very little for people these days, right? And the currency really is attention at the moment, right? So you can make the most beautiful thing in the world, but if nobody's watching it, you sort of, you lose the value of what you created. So I think that's a big change. I mean, before we worked for the product and the product was there, we were all happy about it, and it's kind of done. Now it's almost when the product is done, now it starts, because now it's about, okay, who's going to see this product? Are we going to get the right engagement? Is it going to, generate the result that people want? So I think that's a very big difference. To stay competitive, you need to be very capable of doing this. So you need to be very capable of generating that kind of attention, generating, or hitting those kind of KPIs with the product you make, which sometimes also means that you need to let go of your ideas because they wouldn't work anymore in this day and age, right? So it's changing very rapidly. Now we have AI as well, of course, where, I mean, one of my team members just showed me something, an AI scene. And, I'm quite good, I think, at seeing what is AI and not, but I couldn't tell anymore. So that's another thing, right? So bit of a double edge, because as filmmakers ourselves, we don't want to believe that AI can take our jobs, right, and can take our creativity and all of that away. But I think we need to be more symbiotic with it, because it is coming and it's going fast, right? And I think now it's still sort of a novelty to create things that are very realistic. But I think if we would talk again in a year, it's probably very easy to do these things, right? So that's something we are struggling with as well. Like, okay, how do we, work together with AI, right? And I think we can, but there will be a day that it's going to be either or, I believe. And then I hope that people as a human species will linger to real content and real films and real personal stories. Because if you think about it, I mean, with these, computer generated images, I mean, there's no limit anymore to what can be done. So I hope really that as a species, we go sort of back to the core and say, no, but we want to see very honest films. We want to see very honest stories that doesn't need to have UFOs and sci-fis and explosions and all these things. No, we want to go back to the core. So that's what I hope for this industry and for this craft. Because otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest.
Now, if we talk about Dinner in the Sky, which almost everyone in the audience is familiar with it. If you're not, then get out of your shell. But Dinner in the Sky is one of the most unique dining experiences in the world. Can you take us back to the beginning and how did you bring the concept to Thailand?
Sure. First step again, right? So first step was bringing it to Thailand, and the reason why is that actually I saw it with my previous business partner on I think it was on a YouTube video, and we saw it, coming by, and we said, oh wow, that's incredible. Let's look up where does this come from? How does this work? And we saw that at that point, Dinner in the Sky was in Malaysia. So we booked the ticket, we flew to Malaysia and said, look, we want to bring this to Thailand. Dinner in the Sky is a franchise, worldwide franchise. I think it's over 60 countries already at this point in time. And they took us up. So you go, on the dinner table, up 50 meters into the air, and you have dinner there. And we were sitting, watching over the Petronas Towers. This is in Kuala Lumpur. And we looked at each other and we said, okay, we got to do this. So not knowing how we're going to do it, not knowing, how it works, what kind of licenses we needed, all of these different things. So we shook hands with these people there and said, okay, we will do this. We will get license for Thailand. And we did. And it turned out to be very difficult to bring it to Thailand because, it's a completely new concept to Thailand. I will never forget, we went to meet with the district office. And you sit in a room with a lot of people and you kind of pitch the idea, and I said, look, I mean, we have this table, 22 seats, everybody straps in like it's a roller coaster, and we bring in a 200 tons construction crane, and then we connect that one to the table, we lift everybody up, and we have dinner. And I was expecting like, wow, oh wow, that's a great idea, but no, everybody was looking like, they saw water burning. Right? They were like, what? Who are these guys? Are they crazy? So, it was quite hard to convince the people here that this was a good idea. And it took quite some effort and, a lot of, connections, knowing people, this and that to convince everybody that it was a good idea. But we, again, we stayed persistent. We didn't give up. One of the reasons was also because we were heavily invested now in this company. So there was no giving up anymore. But we made it work. We got it done. Run it very successfully here in Thailand. Sold out, amazing feedback. Like you said, I mean, most people know about this media spectacle, all of the things, that are super fun to do. And, that's what happened, Dinner in the Sky. And we're working now on bringing it back again to Bangkok, to give people again the experience, because in many ways, it's a similar feeling, right? It's making people happy. And of course, this is a for-profit business, But seeing people coming, arriving, a little bit scared, like, oh, I'm a little bit afraid of heights. I don't know if I like this. And when they go up, and an hour later, the table comes down, and everybody's smiling and laughing and cheering and dancing, and it's really what happens. It's a great feeling. So in that way, there's much similarity with what I do now. I mean, we're trying to make people happy. We're trying to make people feel good and have a good time. So yeah, that's Dinner in the Sky. And again, I mean, I hope we can bring it back. If it's not this year, it will hopefully be next year. And then you are invited, of course, to come as well.
What if someone is afraid of heights? How would you tell them to, not be so afraid and go for a dinner in the sky?
Yeah, in the end of the day, it's a fun experience. I mean, it cannot go wrong, right? So safety is the number one priority. Again, we operate 60 countries around the world, meaning that, if something happens in one country, all the other 59 countries are going to feel that as well, right? So we have to be very, very careful and very safe. And we're dealing with people's lives up in there, right? So there is a 0% chance that something can go wrong. And some people might feel that like, oh, but I mean, I'm hanging up in the air. What if whatever, something falls? It is impossible. That's number one. Then if that's not enough to guarantee someone, then it's not for everybody, right? Some people just say, just let me have dinner with my feet on the ground, please, right? And that's fine as well. But when we ran this was in 2017. It's a long time ago. This was already a novelty, but I think this year's 2026, 27 novelty experiences are even more popular, right? So people are looking for new things to see, to explore, and to experience. So I believe that Dinner in the Sky would do even better right now. So that's why I'm also quite excited to see if we can bring it back again, because I really think we can do a lot more. Also, we're talking about doing concerts in the skies, DJ in the skies, workshop in the skies, all these different things, because a lot can be done, right? So I'm quite excited about that. I have no idea how to fit it in the schedule anymore, but we'll make it work somehow.
That's very exciting, and we are, as the audience, we're really hoping forward to hear Dinner in the Sky coming soon, very soon. So, from our audience,
Sure.
stay tuned for that, and then Friso will be the one who will be announcing, so you'll hear it from him first. So many things we've uncovered in
Yeah.
this interview section, but if we talk about your surreal journey, because everyone has a journey, right? And we talked about different stages of your journey, but how would you summarize your journey?
My journey through life at this point in time has been, first of all, it's been amazing to me. The surreal part about it, or that it's this life has taken me to places that I would never have imagined to have gone. And I think again that comes back to taking the first step, all these different things, right? I mean, life can have a lot of surprises for you, so positively and negatively, right? But if you enjoy the ride, and if you make sure that you keep reminding yourself that you've come a long way already, I think life is the most beautiful thing in existence of this universe, because it always pans out. And through my career now, and I'm not that old but also not that young anymore, what I realize and what I truly know is that life will always take its course, and it will always be all right. And that means for me personally, sometimes things can look very tough, can look very difficult, but I have such a clear understanding of this concept that everything will be all right, that again, it's very difficult to make me nervous about something or make me feel like, oh, but this cannot be solved anymore, because I know that there's somewhere, somehow it's going to be okay. And I really feel very empowered with that, because that means that sometimes life throws things at me or at anybody. If you have that feeling that things are going to be okay, you can be very resilient. So that's what I've learned. I've also learned that, now we're talking, wearing a blue shirt, Bangkok Community Help, we've done all these things. If we do a podcast again in 10 years, I wouldn't know what I would be talking about, right? Of course, about the things that happen and about the things that we are developing, but there might be so many more surprises and exciting things that can come on, my path, right? And the vehicle for all of this is the things that we do now, the people that we meet, the experience that we have, and the result is something that we can only wait for and be excited about.
Absolutely. That's actually very fascinating to hear that maybe something might come on your path and it's always for the better. And we're
Yes,
really excited to know what's coming ahead for you. And as always, my audience and I wish you all the best for that.
thank you.
And as we're coming to the end of this interview section of the podcast, I would like to ask you one question, Friso, which I ask all my guests, which is if you could voice one unique message to the world, what would it be?
I've already said it, but kindness always matters. Always keep this in mind. Whatever you do, be kind to one another, be kind to each other, because that's going to make your life a lot better. So have kindness in your heart, have kindness in the things you do. Doesn't matter what you do. And life will, again, turn out for the better for you when you keep doing that. So that is my message for the whole world. Kindness, big or small, everything matters.
Great. Thank you so much for that unique message and for your time on today's episode of the podcast. Would you like to leave any last thoughts, final comments for the audience?
Well, it's been a real pleasure, and I wish you, a lot of success with what you are doing, with the podcast, but also other things. If people want to know more about Bangkok Community Help, they can, of course. BangkokCommunityHelp.org is our website. We are Bangkok Community Help on any social media platform: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, X, wherever you can go for social media, you can find us. And again, I want to invite everybody, if they are in Thailand, if they're coming to Thailand, if they have any relationship with Thailand, come with us. Come see for yourself what we're all about. Come see for yourself the people that we are working and helping with every day. And I can guarantee you that it's going to be an experience that you will never forget. So everybody is welcome.
I will put all the links, the description, Bangkok Community
Wonderful.
Help, as well as how, if you would like to reach out to Friso, everything will be in the description, all the information. And
Perfect.
I hope that everyone who's watching this is a part of Bangkok Community Help in some way, shape, or form. Every person who comes in and helps matters. Your help, your support goes a long way. So do be a part of it and do check them out, as well as check Friso out, and his contacts will be in the description below. And for my audience who has made it to the end of this interview section of the podcast, I hope you did enjoy this conversation with Friso. Very deep, very insightful conversation. And if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, your family, people around your network, anyone who wants to know more about Bangkok Community Help, Digital Distinct, Dinner in the Sky, as well as anything that Friso is going on or want to know more about Friso. Do share this video, and I'll see all of you for the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye bye. Thank you.